Welcome to the Oil and Gas Report, brought to you by CatchCan. I'm your host, Rob Hislop. We have moved all our equipment out of our Edmonton-based studio and have headed over to Vancouver. We're in this city for the Globe 2012 conference. Now, in case you're not familiar with it, it's something that's actually been around for quite a while. It started back in 1990 and goes every 2 years. What it does is it brings together leaders of industry, all sorts of people from various industries, and they're talking about trying to make the world a better place. We've been fortunate enough to land a lot of interviews, corporate executives, international agencies, urban leaders, financial executives as well, government policymakers, as well as environmental industry executives. Of course, being from Alberta, we've got a lot of oil sands representation as well. And again, this is the Globe 2012 conference. It's held in March in Vancouver. The theme this year, building a sustainable economy for the 21st century. Joining us now is John Wiebe, the CEO of Globe Group and the organizer of Globe 2012. John, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit, we had you on a few weeks ago talking about the event before it came. So it's here now. Tell us what people are seeing when they're here.
Well, what they're seeing at the trade show in particular are companies that want to showcase themselves as being sustainable and having sustainable issues that they deal with. And what you're seeing are technologies, variety from all over the world, whether it's Switzerland or Germany or Canada. So it's really sustainable technologies, focused a lot on energy, some on water, but it's a showcase.
Yeah, two obviously very important issues for us right now. Energy seems to be in the headlines every single day.
That's right.
And water pops up a fair bit as well.
Well, water's the next big
issue. Yes,
right?
It is.
I mean, energy now, but water's certainly coming down the road. Down the pipe, so to speak.
There you go.
There we
go. Have you used that before?
No,
okay.
Just thought that.
Will you use it again?
I will.
Okay. Looking at some of the guest speakers that you've got here again, you've got people from Fortune 500 companies, you've got environment ministers, government people, United Nations as well. It's important to get all these people together, especially since the world seems so much smaller now.
That's true. And really, you heard, if you were at the plenary this morning, where we had 2 governors, a premier, and 2 CEOs of the largest companies in the world, they were talking about leadership, they were talking about collaboration, and they were talking about innovation. And really, we need those 3 to solve the problems, the mega problems of the world.
Right.
Whether it's food, whether it's energy, whether it's water. And they talked about all those. And so it was really fascinating that, one of the CEOs said to me after, he said, we couldn't have scripted this better. We're all on the same page. We know we have to do this together.
So the interesting thing I find is that you're talking about food being an issue, energy being an issue, and these have been issues for years.
They have.
And people have tried to tackle them before. What makes the people here think that this is a time that it'll actually work?
Well, what's different, starting to be different, is that they're recognizing that these issues are all interconnected. That it's not just a food issue, it's a food and energy issue. And so the example from DuPont was, for example, they went down the road of really promoting cellulosic ethanol as a new fuel, until they really realized that, hey, we're getting criticized because that's food.
Well, it's corn.
It's corn.
Yeah, exactly.
So now we're sitting there, we have a dilemma. I mean, if we keep going this way with the corn and cellulosic ethanol, we're getting criticized on the side that we're saying we're trying to do something about food. So what they did, got their scientists in, figured out basically you could eat the corn and use the corn husks for the ethanol, and suddenly problems sort of solved, right? Connected. Whereas without that, they would have continued on that criticism, if you want. They would have continued on growing corn strictly for cellulosic ethanol. And so what we're finding is water, energy, food, these are all interconnected, and that's why they require collaboration. So you need a Suncor working with a DuPont, working with someone else to solve their problems. It's not just DuPont or just Suncor or just in Canada solving the problem on their own. And the oil sands guys have figured that out in a way with COSIA, which is their new initiative. but increasingly it's now everyone has to understand that that's the way the world works. It's interconnected.
Well, let me ask you this, because a lot of people might suggest is some of the companies that are here have been in the headlines for causing some of the problems that we've got today.
They have.
And now they're trying to tell us that they can solve the problems.
Well, they can solve the problems, but not alone.
Right.
I think that's the big change, the recognition.
And you've been doing this for 22 years. Have you seen a shift in the attitude of these companies and the people that have been coming to this?
Oh,
forum?
very much so.
How so?
Oh, 20 years ago, the industry basically said, talk to my lawyers. I mean, this is not for us. We're the good guys. We just do our thing. We have to make money. We can't take care of the environment. Now you see them, not all of them, admittedly, but probably 70% are saying, you know what, this is part of our business. We can't operate unless we take that into account. And a lot of it is public pressure, some of it's government regulation, but some of it they're finding out themselves. And as Steve Williams from Suncor said today, he said, every time we use less water, we save money. Hey, it doesn't take a lot to figure out, why don't we start saving more water, right? And so it's a mindset. It's just thinking about those things in a different way. It's thinking about them as an opportunity rather than a problem.
Well, I find it interesting because we were talking about energy, but you also have some people talking about sustainability in retail.
Right.
And as anybody will tell you, if you look at the cost of a TV today, it's dropped dramatically, and they're not built to be sustainable. I mean, they're built to be thrown out because you can't afford to fix them because it doesn't make sense. And, and so much of this stuff is like that. Is there a shift in the retail industry as well?
Well, yes, there is. And where they are shifting is in packaging, distribution, and so on. So you're seeing the products becoming lighter weight. You're seeing them package them less. Again, partly through self-interest. The more it costs to ship, the heavier it is, the more it costs to ship. So let's get it lighter. The bigger it is, the more it costs to ship. The more packaging we have, it costs more. And we have to dispose of it and so on and so forth. So they're working through these systems in terms of supply chains and so on. If you think about electronics, it's a little different in the context of saying they're just getting better, if you want, having more features all the time, just like automobiles. I mean, you don't want to be driving a 1970 automobile now because it's more modern, has more things in it. What they are doing is increasingly building them with products or materials that are easily recyclable or more easily recyclable. Some countries have take-back programs where you can't just throw it out. Basically, there's the responsibility of the producer to take it back. You're seeing a lot of that in various countries. Some companies don't like it, because it's a cost to them. On the other hand, it forces them to find things to do with those recycled products, and a lot of them end up making money on it. So, yes, the whole thought process has changed. And what we like to keep telling people is think about it as this is an opportunity. This is not a problem. This is an opportunity for you to make even more money. And when they find that out, pretty easy.
Right. So what's the incentive for politicians? Because you've got them here as well. You've got the federal environment minister, Peter Kent, is here. Alberta's environment minister is here as well. It seems today that the politician almost seems geared towards the election cycle and getting themselves reelected. And is there a continuity there that will help out business, do you think?
Well, yeah, we're in a 4-year election cycles. Everybody knows that. We know that we've got to go through those. And politicians, by nature, in that sense, are short-term thinking. For companies, though, what they need is certainty. So what they're hoping is that there is transference and there's continuation. But the political interest in what we do is the potential for jobs and economic development. Whether it's an environment minister or an energy minister or an economic development minister, all of which we have here, the bottom line now is how do we use this interest or this change to create more jobs, build the economy, and get rid of some of the confrontation, because confrontation between, let's say, environmentalists and business is not good for anyone. It's not good for business. It's not good for the government either, because it raises issues for them. So if we can create jobs out of it, make it positive, we have a win-win.
Right. Now, this conference is held every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Which is nice, because I imagine you get a chance to see some growth over that time as well. Where do you see this going down the road?
Well, we see it continuing the way it is. I mean, our philosophy really of environmental problems being business opportunities is only growing. I mean, this isn't going backwards, it's going forward. More and more companies are interested. You're seeing more and more Fortune 500s here. Plus, I think probably the biggest change in the next little while is as we bring the small to medium-sized enterprises together with the big guys, and we get some, collaboration going there, and we see people grow, and we have more innovation, more jobs. That's really what we want to promote, and I think that's going to happen next 10
Well, that's very much what you're seeing here. I mean, our show is brought to you by CatchCan, an operation in Alberta which now gets a chance to associate with some of the bigger players in the oil industry as well. That's what you'd like to see, taking the technology, say, that CatchCan does, and exposing them to the others.
Exactly.
And
that builds itself.
Mm-hmm.
It builds it.
John, thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Glad
John Weed, the organizer of Globe 2012.